Let me tell you about a small town that almost forgot how to love, and a woman named Grace Miller, who reminded everyone what kindness really looks like. Pine Hollow wasn't much of a town anymore. The factory had shut down 5 years ago. Most shops had for sale signs in their dusty windows. People barely smiled. It was the kind of place where you could feel the silence. Right in the middle of that silence was Grace's diner. It used to be full, once. Truck drivers, farmers, and teachers came in for her famous buttermilk biscuits and fresh coffee. But after her father passed from a heart attack and her mother moved away, it was just Grace now. She ran the place on her own, serving strangers while quietly saving up for her father's medical debt. Life was hard, but manageable, until he walked in. It was a Tuesday morning. The bell over the diner door jingled, and everyone looked up. There he was, black leather jacket, silver rings on his fingers, tattoos covering his arms. He was tall, with dark glasses and a heavy chain hanging from his jeans. On his back, a patch that said, Hell's Sons Motorcycle Club. The whole diner froze. Grace's hands stopped mid-wipe on the counter. Old man Rudy by the window slowly set down his coffee. 2 teens in the corner quietly pulled out their phones. The man walked in like a storm cloud. Sat at the back booth. Didn't say a word. Grace had seen people like him before, on the news in passing. But something about him felt tired. Not angry. Not wild. Just heavy. She took a breath, grabbed her notepad, and walked to his table. "Hi there," she said gently. "Can I get you something to eat?" He looked up, removed his sunglasses, and for a second, Grace paused. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red. His face was rough. But behind all that, she saw something broken and deeply human. "Coffee. Black," he said. Grace nodded. "Coming right up." She returned with his coffee and added, "We've got hot biscuits coming out in a few minutes." On the house, the man looked at her, surprised. Then he looked around. Everyone was still staring. "I don't think your regulars like me much," he said, sipping the coffee. Grace gave a small smile. "Maybe they just need to adjust their vision." He smirked. Then he looked down at his wrist. A hospital band peeked from under his sleeve. Grace noticed. He saw her notice, and didn't hide it. "My daughter," he said softly. "Stage 3 leukemia. Been at Pine Hollow Medical all week." Grace's heart dropped. She'd been there too. Many nights. Same halls. Same prayers. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Yeah," he nodded. "Me too." That was when the door slammed open. Sheriff Clay Benson and his deputy, Rachel, stomped in. Sheriff Clay's mustache twitched like a rattlesnake ready to bite. "Grace," he barked. "You all right?" She looked at them calmly. "Yes, Sheriff. We got reports you had a visitor," Rachel said with a raised eyebrow, eyeing the man in the back booth. "I have a customer," Grace replied evenly. Clay walked toward the booth, hand on his belt. "We don't like trouble in this town, mister. Maybe you should finish that coffee and be on your way." The biker looked up. Steady." Grace stepped in. "He hasn't caused any trouble, Sheriff. He's just here to rest." "You're defending him?" Rachel asked. "I'm serving him," Grace replied. The biker stood slowly, placed a $20 on the table, and gave Grace a quiet nod. "Thanks for the coffee," he said. Then to Clay, "Don't worry. I'm leaving." He walked out the door without another word. The bell jingled again. Then silence. That night, Grace closed the diner early. Her hands trembled as she counted the cash. The room still felt cold. She thought it was over, until the next morning. A sign was painted across her front window in red. "Biker lover. Don't serve us if you serve them." Grace stood there frozen. People walked by and didn't say a word. No one helped her clean it. She scraped it off herself, tears stinging her eyes. The next few days, customers stopped coming. Her phone rang less. Some people she'd known for years stopped waving on the street. But Grace kept the diner open. Every morning, every evening, alone. Then, 1 week later, the bell rang again. 2 older people walked in, a man and a woman. They were dressed in denim jackets and worn boots. No one else was in the diner. "Are you Grace Miller?" the woman asked. "Yes." The man stepped forward. "I'm Will. This is my wife, Annie. Our son came here last week." Jackson Reed. Grace blinked. "The biker." Will smiled. "The father. You were kind to him when no one else was." Annie's eyes glistened. "His daughter's doing better." She smiled for the first time in days. He said it was because someone reminded him there's still good in the world. Grace didn't know what to say. Will pulled something from his pocket. A small silver pin in the shape of a winged heart. "We're not rich," he said, "but we ride with a lot of people. And we tell stories. And we're gonna tell yours." He placed the pin on the counter. "You just wait," Annie said with a smile. "You have no idea what's coming." And with that, they left. Grace stared at the pin, fingers trembling. She didn't know it yet, but her quiet stand for one man would soon echo louder than the engines of every motorcycle in the county. She had no idea that the diner she ran alone was about to become the heart of something much bigger. There was once a wealthy man named Edward Bennett, a successful entrepreneur and widower raising his 2 children, Liam and Lily, in a grand, quiet mansion. Despite all his riches, Edward's home felt hollow. Ever since the death of his wife, the children had not been the same. Liam would barely speak. Lily had trouble sleeping. They clung to each other, but no one else could reach them, not even their own father. Edward hired the best nannies, one after another, but none lasted long. The children didn't trust them. Some were too harsh. Others quit out of frustration. Nothing worked, until a woman named Amara Johnson walked through their gates. Amara was soft-spoken and warm, with a strong but calm presence. She was a black woman, with a kind face and a deep voice that carried peace wherever she went. Unlike the others, she didn't rush to bond with the children. She simply sat with them, read quietly beside them, and gently offered them routines. Slowly, Lily began to sleep through the night. Liam started speaking again. The mansion that once echoed with silence now had laughter and bedtime stories. But not everyone was pleased. Gloria, Edward's longtime housekeeper, didn't trust Amara. She didn't like how quickly the children attached themselves to her, or how Edward had begun to smile again. Gloria, who had secretly hoped to be more than just a housekeeper in Edward's life, watched in growing jealousy as the new nanny changed everything. One evening, Edward came home from work with good news. Amara had been officially hired on a permanent basis. That night, Gloria snapped. She pulled Edward aside and said coldly, "That woman is drugging your children." Edward was stunned. "What?" Gloria repeated. "I've seen her give them strange tea every night. She always says it's herbal. But how do we know what's really in it? They never used to sleep like that." The idea planted a dangerous seed in Edward's mind. His children were finally healing. But what if it was all a lie? The next day, he didn't confront Amara. Instead, he watched silently. He saw the tea, saw the calm way she tucked the children into bed. And yet, Gloria's voice kept echoing in his head. Suspicion grew. He searched her room. He even asked the children how they felt after drinking the tea. But their replies were always the same. "We like it. It helps us sleep. Miss Amara says it's safe." Still, doubt continued to poison his thoughts. Then one day, things took a terrifying turn. Lily collapsed in the hallway. She was rushed to the hospital. Edward's world spun out of control. Doctors ran tests. And once again, Gloria whispered in his ear, "It's the tea. I warned you." Edward returned home furious and heartbroken. When Amara came to check on Lily, he exploded. "Get out of my house," he shouted. "You poisoned my daughter." Amara froze, tears welling up in her eyes. "I would never." "Leave," he screamed, not letting her explain. She packed her things in silence and walked out into the night. But then something strange happened. The hospital called. Lily was going to be okay. The collapse wasn't due to poisoning. It was a food allergy triggered by a new snack introduced by Gloria earlier that day. There was no trace of drugs in Lily's system. Edward's heart sank. He had accused the one person who had truly cared for his children. And now, she was gone. He returned home and confronted Gloria. She broke down. "I just wanted you to see her the way I did. I was jealous," she sobbed. He fired her immediately. For days, Edward tried to contact Amara, but she didn't return his calls. She had vanished, heartbroken and humiliated. Liam and Lily kept asking, "When is Miss Amara coming back?" One afternoon, Liam handed his father a letter Amara had left behind in his backpack. It read, "Dear Mr. Bennett, I loved your children like they were my own. I gave them nothing but love, peace, and care. I forgive you for not trusting me. But please, tell them I will always be proud of how strong they are. Amara." Tears rolled down Edward's face as he read the note. He knew what he had to do. He hired a private investigator to find her. After weeks of searching, they found her working at a shelter across town, helping other children. Edward drove there himself, walked up to her with Liam and Lily by his side, and dropped to his knees in the middle of the shelter. "I was wrong," he said, crying. "I believed a lie, and I lost the best thing that happened to my children. Please forgive me." Amara looked at him with eyes full of pain, but also grace. "The children didn't deserve what happened," she whispered. "But if they need me, I'll come back." That night, she returned to the Bennett home. This time, not just as a nanny, but as the woman who brought a broken family back to life.